That's awesome.
You want to adopt mine?
So here's one of the things that I would tell you. You might want to write this down. I created a website called Scholarship Mastery, scholarshipmastery.com, and it is the tagline, if you will, on the website is how ordinary students get extraordinary amounts of money for school. And basically what I did was I interviewed all the students that I've met on my trails who had full ride scholarships, and I said, what do you know that these people don't? And they just spilled all this great information, and I compartmentalized it all in 4 videos that are about 20 to 35 minutes long, and it teaches students exactly how to find the funding, apply with ease, write a killer essay, and ace the interview. And I'm telling you, there's about $8 billion that goes unclaimed in scholarship money every year. One of those is, and this is amazing to me that it's not more well publicized, Prairie Meadows has a scholarship that they give out. They give $1,000 to every high school in the state. That's one scholarship they give out. And then every high school in the metro area, they give a $2,000 scholarship for a male student and one for a female student. And most of those go unclaimed. Or they're literally pulling teeth to get people to apply for those. The Urbandale JCs, I met the woman who was administering their scholarship plan. She said, we have 3 to give out. We have 1 application so far.
Wow.
And they were nearing their deadline. So there is money out there to be had for young people. The challenge is, I think, is that we have to really encourage people to do it. It's not a waste of time. It's actually the highest paying part-time job they could ever have. If a student fills out an app and they get $500 and it took them an hour to do, they made $500 an hour. And you cannot find that in a college town, right? So Scholarship Mastery, check that out. As part of your spending plan, you want to have cash for impulse spending, meals, and etc. So anyone familiar with Dave Ramsey? You heard of Dave Ramsey? And Dave Ramsey's plan is the cash plan. It's the envelopes. So if your budget is $100 for gas, there's a $100 bill in the envelope for gas, and when that's gone, you might be getting by on fumes or borrowing from the grocery budget, right? So we've done this in our family before on different things. We had a state fair cash envelope, right? And when the corn dogs ran out, they ran out. That was the deal. And our kids know it. Now this is the cool part. Our kids know exactly how much they have when they go out. And we've started implementing a deal where they get their own envelope. We tell them how much they have to spend when we go on vacation or to a fair or to Chuck E. Cheese or whatever. They know exactly how much they're going to spend. And that's part of it. Our children know what the spending plan is. And we don't get can I please, I want it. We just don't get that. Part of the reason for that is we've stopped all that in conversations of, today we're buying what we need, not what we want. Right? We're buying what the envelope has in it and nothing more. Okay? And they get it. They know what we're saving for. They know what we're trying to do. All right, so going into tracking. Tracking is really all about just keeping track of everything that you're spending money on. And the best way to do this is to go get a little spiral bound notebook and keep it in your pocket or your purse and write down for 1 week, and if you're really a go-getter, 1 month, everything that you spend money on for the entire month. Write it down. You will be somewhat shocked at how some of the little expenses really add up, and you'll start to notice that some of the reasons you're buying what you're buying were because you're bored, someone else was doing it, you didn't really have anything else to do, you were trying to find a place to go, and so I'm guilty and realized when I did this that I thought, I think better when I go to Starbucks, or I think better when I go to Panera, and I sit and I can have a nice cup of coffee and just hang out. Well, my wife said, you see all these people that you know in these places and you never get any work done. Why don't you go to the library? There are no business people hanging out at the library in the middle of the day. And I found out they have great free coffee at the library, which I'm happy to drop a buck in every other time I go, So it made me realize that what I was spending money on was not conscious, it was very unconscious. And if I was going to be more diligent about how I was tracking, planning, saving, and all of that, then I had to sort of tweak why I was going where I was going and when. So create a daily spending log, and you want to review it weekly for a month. Yes?
I'm curious then, so when you want to get social, do you go to Starbucks to get social and see how you're... By the way, my daughter works for Starbucks.
Yes.
And it is a great company to work for, so.
Yeah.
Treat the employees really well.
Cool.
And I enjoy their chai, their tea.
Yes, they have very good products. Here's some other ways to track it is mint.com I mentioned before. And mint.com is an aggregator. So what it does is it pulls all of your accounts in to one account. And you can log on to Mint and it will show you what did you spend money on in your credit card, in your checking account. Here's what when your car loan is due. You know, all these different things it will pull in. You can do that with Yodlee as well, Yodlee. And then Capital View also has a product very similar within the checking account. And what exactly does it track then?
You can basically set up budgets based on expenses and income that actually hits your account, and you can actually categorize those transactions through the home banking system. So it's kind of it offers a nice visual. After you've gotten it set up over the course of a month or so, seeing visually where your money's going, where it's coming from, it's a pretty handy tool.
So you can set up categories that would say this is a food and entertainment expense, this is a gas expense, and so on. Yeah, so that would be super handy. And the benefit of where we're going technology-wise is, while the spiral-bound notebook is very helpful and forces you to write it down, a lot of people will, I forgot the notebook, or you carry a pocket full of receipts and they get thrown on the counter. You know, those kinds of things. This does it for you. So if you're using your debit card to buy everything, this would track all of your purchases and allow you to categorize where those are. And I can't stress how powerful this tool is enough, particularly if you are someone or you know someone that's getting a lot of late fees on credit card bills or insufficient fund fees in their checking account. A lot of these services will set up alerts where it will say, your bill is due in 5 days, send a payment today. Or you're below $100 in your checking account, it's time to move money over. So it will literally alert you to these things through a text message or an email. Very, very powerful tools. I use an online application called Page Once, and you can download it to a smartphone. But Page Once actually allows me to look at how many frequent flyer miles do I have on each one of my airlines. How many bonus points do I have on the credit cards that I use? So what happens for us is if we want to take a vacation, I know which airline I'm probably going to be targeting because I can get at least one free ticket on one of those. At Christmas time, my wife and I do a majority of our spending using credit card bonus points. So we're ordering gift cards to retailers that we're going to go buy gifts for our family and friends. A majority of what we do then we try and manage that through what we spend in bonus points used. So both helpful. Anyone use anything else? Any Quicken users? No? Mint actually was bought by Quicken and QuickBooks. The folks that actually Intuit is the company, but they own Quicken, QuickBooks, and Mint.com. But I would highly encourage you, if it's already there, use the system that's within Capital View. All right, so how do you grow your money? This is all about plugging the holes in your buckets to grow your savings. The number one thing, and this is often overlooked, it's sort of like your cholesterol, which most people know they have a cholesterol score, but they have no idea what it is. Your credit score exists out there. It is a snapshot in time of your credit right now. So if I went out and I grabbed your credit right now, it would take a snapshot of whatever balances and payment history and everything is already reporting to your credit bureaus. And it would say your score is a 720, or could be as low as I think it goes 399 to 820 are the potentials. Most people in America are sitting right around a 680, 690, and 720 is prime credit and above. So at 720 and above, you can pretty much get the best of the best rates on any car loan, home mortgage, HELOC, or what have you. For most people, what they don't realize is their credit score is impacting what they're paying for insurance. And so what I would encourage you to do is go to a site called annualcreditreport.com. And on annualcreditreport.com, you can pull one of 3 credit bureaus. There's Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You can pull your credit report, but you don't pull a score. So when you pull down your report, if you pay an extra $5, you get a score. As you go through your report, my my advice would be to come to some of the professionals at the credit union and say, help me read this. What do I need to know? What is not showing up right, or what needs attention on here? And there was one real quick scenario I'll give you. There was a young man who had Abercrombie and Fitch card, I think is what it was, that he had opened in college. He charged up $300 or $400 on it, and then fell on hard times as a college student and stopped paying on it. Well, about 2 years after he graduated, he settled with them and said, I'll pay X amount in order to settle this account and pay it down to zero. And they said, okay. When he came to me 8 years later to buy a house, and I started going through his credit score, I said, your score looks really low, and I don't know why. And he said, it's been that way for like 6 years, and everything I've tried to do, it just doesn't help. And when I saw that one account, it had a rolling 90-day late, meaning that it was showing up as being paid 90 days late over and over and over and over and over again. So I said, do you know anything about this card? He said, that was closed years ago. So we called the 800 number, and I said, I'm sitting here with my client. We verified who he was. He said, we're having an issue because this account is showing up as a rolling 90-day late. She said, we show that there is a $620 balance on this card. And I said, can you go back and find out what that started from? And she said, well, back 8 years ago, I show that he had paid his balance off to about $8, and then he didn't pay any more on it. So whoever had done the paperwork on this didn't zero it out. They left a small balance, and with fees and penalties and interest, it grew to over $800, $600, whatever the number was. And I said, well, actually, he had paid it off in full. That was the deal. She zeroed it out, corrected his credit score, and literally in the next 30 days, his credit score had jumped 60 to 80 points just from that one correction. So y'all may have something like that hanging out there that we don't know about unless we check it. Limiting impulse buys. In a grocery store, they've done studies. You're buying everything at eye level, and you're buying the magazines and the food and candy and all that kind of stuff that's at checkout. So we're trying to limit a lot of those impulse buys. You want to evaluate all the services that you're getting to make sure you're getting the best deal. That is your cell phone, your home phone. If you have any kind of service at all. If you're getting the newspaper and you're only reading Sundays, figure out how to minimize some of those. And then you sell stuff to pay down debt. And this is a big one that often goes overlooked as well. We all have what Dave Ramsey calls lazy idle assets hanging around at home. They're in our basement, in our garage, in our attic. It's hanging in our closet. There's shoes that we don't wear. It's CDs and DVDs that we never listen to, never play. All of these things had value when we bought them, and we think we own them, and in reality they own us, especially if we have credit card debt against them. So what I encourage you to do, as Dave Ramsey does, is sell everything in your home to the point the kids think they're next.
Yeah.
Right? Anything that's not bolted down goes on Craigslist. And you'll be amazed. It's cash and carry. People will show up to buy the stuff you haven't used in months. And then you take all that money and use it to pay down your debt, to free up some of that cash flow to then go into your savings accounts. Right? And the number one way to pay down debt, I don't know if I have this in this particular, I don't. The best way to pay down debt, on that vertex42.com site, there is a debt reduction calculator. And what that will do is it will have you plug in all of your debts, and you can do credit cards, car loans, student loans, your mortgage, all your debts go in with interest rate, the payment, how long you have left on those. And then you plug in what your income is, what your expenses are outside of that, and it will say what your disposable income is left. And it will tell you in what order you are to pay those debts off in order to rapidly accelerate the payoff of those debts. So as an example, if you realize you had $200 extra a month by the time you cancel some services, sell some stuff, and eliminate some of the unnecessary fees, this software will say, with that $200, instead of paying off these debts over the next 16 years, you can actually pay them off in 4 years. But you have to follow this process. And the way it works is a debt snowball. You send everything you can to one debt until it's gone, and then all that money that you were sending to that debt, you roll up to the next one.